Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the Breakdown podcast, as we're here to break down another weekend in the season that is the season. It is Cardiff City, new start, new year, same problems maybe in some way, off the pitch certainly, but on the pitch I think there's some good, some issues, but it is what it is. I'm joined by Matthew, who's going to help me out tonight because I am rough. But how are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, all good, buddy. Weekend's gone, year and gone. But yeah, back to it tomorrow. But yeah, all good.
What did you make of yesterday, mate? Overall,
first 30 minutes, I didn't think we were in the game, really, to be honest. And I think I would have. Somebody'd offered me a point then, I probably would have took it. I think we upped the game a little bit towards the end of the first half, and I thought majority of the second half we controlled it, but just didn't create those chances. So I think all in all, the point was probably a fair result, but Leyton Orient could have gone 2 up before half time, really. So I think, we've just got to. Yeah, it wasn't a great performance. There was lots of passing that wasn't great yesterday. Lots of individual errors and mistakes. But as a point as a point on the road, a point closer to promotion. So take it, but keep winning our own games. Take the odd point when we go away, and we're laughing.
I think it's like on one hand, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because if you win, you get a nice little gap between us and Lincoln and third place. But at the start of the season, places like Leyton Orient, because Leyton Orient were in the playoffs last year and they were very unlucky not to go up. And they've largely got the same squad. They got 2 really good strikers, actually 3 because one of them's injured, but they played 2 yesterday. Really good strikers or really good forwards. And it's just like, you forget, like at the start of the season, the Stockport's away, Wimbledon's away, these sorts of games, these difficult away trips, you'd probably take a point. I think it's just the context as the season's going along, and that Lincoln didn't play, and you're like, we could have got something.
Yeah,
but I also thought we weren't great. I
think a lot of the frustrations come down to as well, like fans are frustrated at the moment because, like you said, if we'd won yesterday, it kind of opens that gap up a bit more. The other teams didn't play. So it's probably a lot of disappointment more than frustration, I suppose. But hey, look, like at one point yesterday, we could have come away from our game with nothing. So take the point, put it in the bank, and move on to another difficult away game next week.
And in fairness, mate, I think on the positive side, we again dug in like in a game where we weren't really playing well, and I thought Leyton Orient, much like I sort of expected them to, started and pressed really high in the first 15 minutes. So we were under a lot of pressure. And I think for them to concede a goal to a sloppy goal again, and then get themselves back in the game, and then all right, we didn't have the same amount of control that we normally do, but by and large, I thought we controlled the second half rather than being under as much pressure in the first half. But Leyton Orient's still dangerous, and I think on the positive side, I thought that was one of Yusuf Salech's better games, probably one of his best games in a City shirt. Like everything stuck to him. Obviously scored a great solo goal, was winning flick-ons. He never gets a free kick. I thought he was really good. I thought Ollie Tanner was really good for, another 45 minutes in his legs. You can't overdo him because you don't want him to break down. So you give him half, and I thought he looked sharp. I thought Alex Robertson was pretty good in the second half. He just tired towards the end. I thought Osho defensively was really good. Like he put in some big headers and, big defensive blocks. He just worries me on the ball. And I know, look, the goal is not his fault, but he doesn't help Trott either by putting it on his wrong foot. And unfortunately, how many times we've seen Trott, he just side foot that with his right foot out to Perry NG and it's gone. Yeah. We see it do it 20 times a game, but for whatever reason, he felt uncomfortable and wanted it on his left foot and he gets caught out. But
we've seen it a couple of times. We've seen it a couple of times where teams have put him under pressure and he tried to take it around that player or whatever. So
yeah, he's dropped his shoulder and just flicked it back onto his left foot.
Yeah,
it looks great, but if you don't pull it off, it doesn't.
No, exactly. And we paid the price for it yesterday.
Yeah, and unfortunately, mate, the Wickham game, we have dropped points. And I think that's the more frustrating thing for me, is not necessarily the performance, because I actually think if you can perform badly and not lose, that's a good sign, generally, in like over the long term. But the Wickham game and this game feel like the goals that we conceded were really sloppy and avoidable. And I think that's the frustrating thing, because then you come away with 2 away, 1-0 wins. And then it's like, wow, that's really what a promotion team does. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's those, if we can cut out the sloppy goals, or another sloppy goal, avoidable goals, I think we're all right, because, we only conceded 1 again, and it's avoidable, unfortunately. And I mean, in fairness to Nathan Trott, he went and apologized to the away fans afterwards, and he got a massive ovation and stuff, which is good, because you don't want him to lose, lose confidence or whatever. But yeah, it was just one of them. And I thought, look, I did say in my video earlier, I thought Richie Wellens over the 2 games did quite a good job tactically on us, in terms of the way they pressed. They're quite selective in when they press, and they made it chaotic as fuck, like end to end, lots of transitions, which meant that we never got our rhythm and like the passing and the tempo that we do so often against other teams. And I think, you've got to give credit where it's due. And I thought over those 2 games, Leyton Orient found a way to deal with what we do. Now, look, we've got to find a way to win away as well. I think you've got to say that, haven't you? And the other, just lastly, sorry, mate, on Trott, is yes, he makes the mistake and costs us a goal, but he also saved a point-blank header about 10 minutes later before we scored.
Yeah.
Would have made it 2-0, and then it's a big uphill thing. So, Trott saved us many goals this year, so I don't think anyone's holding it against him. Obviously, what you don't want to do is make a habit of it, like see that again. But the way we play from the back, it's a risk if teams get a press right and they can get a bit of a jump on you. Or
yeah, definitely. We're not the only team who've conceded goals like that, and we won't be the last. But just, unfortunately, it happened yesterday, and we could have done without it. But that's the name of the game, isn't it? I suppose, like you say, high risk, high reward. Sometimes it doesn't always work.
So what do you make of this? Like Gav saying here, he said, "I'm not having our show. My mind's made up. It's League One team in the bottom half of the table." But Leyton Orient literally were in the playoffs last year, and I really believe that their league position. I know you say the league table don't lie, but I genuinely don't think they're a bottom half League One team. I think they're more sort of upper mid-table. But when
you look at the 2 games, they've obviously, they come to Cardiff, we beat them 4-3, I think it was, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Goal in the last minute again, or something like that. They caused us problems that days. Granted, again, we gifted them goals, but that's only because of, the way they approached the game and the pressure they put us under to cause their mistakes. So you can't take anything away from them. They've run us close on both occasions. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I think...
they beat Bradford the other week 3-0 as well.
Yeah, they're not
just to point that out. Like so,
and I know that you say about the league table, but it's so close at the bottom. It's a couple of wins, and you're back up near the playoffs.
They're on 29, and Bolton in 6th are on 39. So like, it's only 10 points between 18th and 6th. And look, at the end of the day, mate. It kind of is what it is. Like, you look at Plymouth now. Plymouth were languishing in the bottom 4 a couple of weeks back. They're now up to 16th because they've had 2 draws and a win on the bounce. Like, it is so close. And that's why I don't get too upset with these away games, because I just think, it's a missed opportunity, but a point, it still gives you another point. We've got a 4-point gap over Lincoln. We will have a game in hand over them again shortly, because we've got to play the Barnsley game. Is it Barnsley? I'm sure it's Barnsley. So that'll come back into fruition. Now, Lincoln are on a great run at the moment. Since they beat us, they've been on a phenomenal run. But that'll drop off at some point, you'd think. Bradford have lost 2 in the last 6. Stockport have lost 2 in the last 6. Huddersfield haven't won a game for 3 games. Bolton have lost 3 of the last 6 and drawn 2 of them. So, like, if we keep winning our home games and don't lose away, we're going to be up. We're going to be up there in the top 2. So we just got to keep that. We've got a couple of really difficult fixtures coming up. So with that in mind, you've got Bradford away 12:30, and then you've got Stockport home 12:30 the next 2 Saturdays. How many points would you take from that and be happy?
4.
Be happy with 4?
I take a point next week at Bradford, to be honest. It kind of doesn't give them any extra advantage. Granted, I'm not sure. I think Lincoln have got Luton next week, so that's going to be a tasty one, that one. But yeah, Bradford were the best team I've seen at Cardiff City Stadium this season when they come down and they beat us 3-1, I think it was. I thought they ripped us apart.
But then that game was mad, mate. They did. In going forward, they absolutely tore us apart. But we missed some big chances in that game at like important times. And I just think, I agree with you. I think going forward, they were probably the best team I've seen us play. Although I thought I was impressed with Doncaster, mind. I thought they were really good at our place. But my thing, I actually quite fancy us against Bradford because they won't sit in. They will try and beat us at their place. And I think that might suit us, depending on what side he picks. I think that might suit us. Stockport at home worries me because I think at home we will just play the way we play. And Stockport are good on the break. And Stockport was the game at the start of the season, which I was like, oh, that's going to be hard, get a couple of games. But honestly, mate, I said this the other day. If we get the tempo of our passing right, I do really believe that we've got enough quality to beat teams. The problem we've got at the moment is we're not probably being as clinical as we should be. Even in the second half, when Salech goes through from, I think it's Robertson, passes it to him, and he drops his shoulder, sends the defender down, but he couldn't get his shot off, so he lays it off to Robertson. If Robertson lifts that off the ground even a little bit, it's a goal. But he goes for precision. It's those chances that was the chance for me yesterday. If he just gets it off the ground, you probably win the game. But in fairness to him, I think Robertson's made a massive difference to us since he's been since he's been able to come back inside.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Yeah, 100%. He's got that feistiness as well, hasn't he? And he's got he can work the ball from left to right, but he's not afraid to shirk a challenge as well. He'll get stuck in. As it proved the other week when he had to take him off after 26 or 28 minutes, was it?
Yeah. He only knows one way to play. We got some really difficult games coming up. But ultimately, the next 4 is you got Bradford away, obviously Stockport at home. Then you got Barnsley at home, which I think will end up being the game in hand. And then you've got Burton away. But then honestly, mate, I look at it and I just think, especially with Tanner back, I did think we missed Kean Ashford. I know people don't necessarily agree with that, but I think people don't realise the movement that he makes off the ball creates a lot of the space for the others to get in. I would like to see him and Tanner on the wing at one point, on either side. Chris Willock's been really good lately.
Quiet yesterday, I thought. Very quiet.
He got crowded out going forward in the first half, particularly. Thought he was a bit better second half, but he didn't do enough defensively for me yesterday, which he has been doing of late. He was just a little bit lethargic with some of his defensive movements, and I thought that left Joel Bagan a little bit exposed. Joel wasn't at his best, what we've seen all season. Defensively, I thought he was all right, but on the ball, he kept giving it away. But he wasn't the only one. It was like one of them games where I think it was so chaotic. And again, you got to give Leyton Orient credit. They made it chaotic. But we kind of just didn't quite get our groove and our movement and stuff right. And just on Alex Robertson, mate. Obviously, Joel Colwell didn't get on yesterday. He was first choice at the start of the season, and it shows the strength that we do have, and also probably the form of Wintle and Robertson and Kellyman. The likes of Callum Robinson and Joel Colwell are probably getting much less minutes than they would like. I thought we missed Chambers yesterday, the form he's been in.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you've heard anything on the grapevine as to why he was missing or anything. But
I think they just gave him a rest, mate, from what I gather. But it seemed odd, didn't it? Because Dylan obviously was carrying a bit of a knock and he was on the bench. But
we talked about that last night, right? About, if he has got a knock, why risk him? Why put him on the bench? If Oshaw or somebody goes down injured first half and, you lose your centre back and he's got to go on with 80 minutes to go, if he's not fit to play and, if he's on the bench carrying a niggle and he's got to go on and play 50, 60 minutes, risking getting further injury, why not play a youngster from the 21s?
I suppose. I think with Dylan is a lot of his wear and tear, like just being his first full season, and they're trying to protect him a little bit. And I think if they had needed him to start, he could have started and he could have played. I think it was more, give him a rest. They're trying to get Osho up to speed, which I understand. What they're trying to do. He makes me so nervous on the ball because he underhits or overhits so many passes and touches. And look, I'm sure he was nervous yesterday because Leyton Orient was the game where he made his first howler. And let's be honest, I said this on the Tactical Showdown Friday. In that game, we were 1-0 up. Robinson had scored and we were cruising. They didn't look like they were going to score. They didn't like we were really playing well. And then all of a sudden, they kind of cut off all the passing lanes, and he went back to the keeper, underhit it, and it's 1-1. And he's been shaky ever since. But I do think there's a player there. Like, I genuinely do. And not just saying that to be supportive. I do think there's a player there. But
I think the trouble is now, right? He'll probably come next week now. He'll probably be on the bench again. So he's not going to get the run of games, I suppose. He chops and changes things so much at the moment for... various reasons. People have got niggles and somebody needs a rest or whatever. I get that. But it just seems to be a lot of changes on a weekly basis for any sort of consistency, really. And I know obviously you do need to make those changes, but that back four chops and changes so much, doesn't it? I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I think ideally you'd want to keep the same set of backs. But I think I think they're trying to manage Dylan's minutes to make sure they don't burn him out, which is fine. I think they're trying to keep Chambers happy, and not because he's complained, just because of he's a club captain. He's a very good centre back in very good form, and actually, I think he's probably just nudged ahead of Fish now, which is a testament to his own application and attitude to come back from being dropped. But from Osho's point of view, I guess he's fourth of four, isn't he? So he's trying to find him minutes because we're out of the cups. If it was I'd rather see the same centre back pairing most of the time, me. And I think, to be fair, generally, it is a combination of Fish, Chambers, and Lawler, generally, isn't it? And then he'll chuck Osho in every few weeks. But they all need to be ready, mate, because if one of them gets injured, they've all got to be ready and fresh. And
I saw perhaps I'm thinking too much into it. You look through the Christmas period now of how many fixtures they had to play. Was it 4 games in 10 days or something silly? So I kind of get it, I suppose. But I suppose you look at it and
I think we played 11 games in 32 days or 34 days, something like that. And that's such a lot of football. And I thought he did a pretty good job over Christmas of rotating it, but still winning. We had a great December, really. But I agree with you. Like, ultimately, same as with Robertson and Wintle, I think, by and large, in the last few weeks, they've played and we've looked like more secure because of it, because they're building a partnership. I think you want the same with your centre-back, really. But then I also think maybe NG and Bagan find it difficult that there's a different winger in front of them each week. I thought NG and Tanner linked up really well yesterday. But
I thought Tanner looked very sharp, to be honest with you. It boiled my, you-know-what. I've seen things on Twitter or X or whatever it's called nowadays saying he's way off it. What's he doing starting? And considering the bloke hasn't started a game for 5 months, I thought he looked quite sharp. I know his final ball might obviously needs a bit of work, but that'll come.
How'd you get sharp if you don't play, mate, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. It's just...
And I thought he looked direct.
Baffles me sometimes.
He looked direct. The only thing I would say with him sometimes is when he gets it on his left foot, he's a bit one-track minded. Like he wants to get a shot off. But he put devilish crossing off his left foot in the first half, like a really good cross. And I just think he gives you, he's an old school winger, isn't he? More than like a Willock or an Ashford, who are more like sort of creative playmaker wingers. Like he is an old school. He'll run at his man, and I like him on the left. I got to be honest, because I think he really will just get the ball down, beat his man, and whip a cross in. But I was quite critical of him last year, and probably not his fault. But when he came back from his injury, he just looked so unfit. I thought it was ridiculous that he was playing, but that's probably not on him. They rushed him back because we were fighting relegation.
He doesn't look nowhere near as unfit as he did last year, though,
does he? God, that's what I mean. But whereas this time, it looks like you can see they've managed it properly. They've got him fit and healthy first. Then they've got him in the gym and all that. And I think he looks really good. He looks quite sharp. Whether he can have another week of training now this week. So I'd probably start him next week off the back of yesterday.
I wanted to bring this comment up a second from Jonathan Mordecai. Bear with me. Last season, there was more or less a set 11 playing every game, so players would get drained and more prone to injuries. BBM has trust in multiple players and rotates to try and keep all fresh.
So I partially agree with that. However, one of our big issues last year was that we never kept the same defence, and then we never got any continuity, and we always looked shaky at the back. However, this year, I would say BBM's done a real good job of managing and rotating them and when to do it. Generally, like there's going to be the odd game. And I also think if he can, and if everyone's like fit, he does try and get Lawler plays, doesn't he? If he's fit and he's ready, like he plays, and then he'll put Chambers in with him, or he'll put Fish in with him. I think I said this to you before, mate. I think Fish looks at his best alongside Lawler. I don't know whether it's because they complement each other well, or he just likes playing with him because of what sort of player he is, or they're a similar sort of age, or I don't know what it is. But them two together, I always think Fish looks at his best with Lawler. I think I said to you before the game the other week, Lawler and Chambers hadn't always played very well together. But actually, the last couple of games they've played together, they've been very good. And I think if Chambers is fit, I think he's got to start at the moment. I really do. I think he's been sort of over the season, he's developed into a bit of a leader. And I got a lot of respect for someone who is the club captain, highest paid player, gets dropped for two young players, essentially, and doesn't throw his toys out the pram and gets his head down. And not only gets his head down and trains properly, but then when he gets his opportunity and he waits patiently for it, like really showed what he's about. And I think we've seen the best version of him at centre-back easily this year, because I thought whenever he played at centre-back last year, he looked almost calamitous at times. So, he was good in midfield.
Players, I seen an interview, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, Dylan Lawler was speaking, and he spoke very highly of Callum Chambers and how he's helping him behind the scenes and things as well. So like you said, he could have thrown his toys out of the pram, just got in and done what he had to do, but he's not. He's helping the likes of Dylan Lawler. And I think Dylan Lawler said, it's great to have a player like that to look up to within the squad. So, if he can help nurture him along as well and make him even better than what he is already, then happy days.
And the other thing, just on the rotation and stuff, and the people talking about Bagan in the comments, he's been so good this year. But I do think it highlighted again that we need a left back, because I think, Perry and Ronan Capaccio both can fill in there. And, Ronan tried his best, but it's not natural to him. And it is difficult at times, because as soon as they cut off the inside avenue or the inside pass, they've got to go on their left foot or they've got to go backwards. And it can be a benefit to have a right footer there, but it is difficult because I don't think Perry or Capaccio have really got a great left foot. It's not like they're, some players can get by, can't they, with their wrong foot, and some are decent with it. I think they can kind of just get by. And I just think it does highlight the fact if Bacon gets injured or he's out of sorts like yesterday, we haven't got an out-and-out left back. And I would like to see us get someone in even if it's just a lone player, Kean Best was one that was mentioned from Chelsea. He'd be a great signing. But would a youngster from Chelsea want to come in and play second fiddle? I don't know. But then I'm sure he'd get games, because the manager likes to rotate. What did you make of Kellyman yesterday? Obviously, he went off injured. That's a blow with Ruben out. What have you made of his change from right wing to number 10 as well?
I just think he looks so exciting with the ball at his feet. He's so fast. He kind of glides across the grass, doesn't he?
Quick feet.
I wouldn't say he was his strongest performance yesterday, but he's still, he got so much ability. I did listen to BBM's press conference afterwards, and I don't think it's as serious as what it perhaps looked on the TV and things like that. But you're still probably saying a couple of weeks, I would imagine. So yeah, disappointing for that to happen, really, especially with obviously Ruben out as well. Because he has been outstanding for us the last couple of games. Kellyman creating chances and things.
I think he's disappointed.
Go on.
I was going to say, I think he's looked way better in the 10 than he did out wide.
100%. Yeah, 100% agree with you. What did you make of David Turnbull coming on for him? Do you think that was the right substitution at that time, or would you have maybe changed anything else?
I expected it to be Joel Colwell because I thought it was a Joel Colwell type of game, up and down, lots of transitions, and you needed perhaps his robustness and his energy. But maybe with the thought that the game was so transitional and was so chaotic, perhaps the manager thought, get someone in there who can give us a bit of composure and control on the ball. I can understand the thinking.
Yeah, and that's nothing against David Turnbull, because I thought when he came on, he done very well.
Yeah, no, it's more because it's just the type of the game it was. I thought it would make sense to Joel, but that's what I'm guessing. Obviously, I don't know what Brian Barry Murphy was thinking. My guess is that he thought that Turnbull would give him a bit of composure, because I think if he had gone with Robinson that early, would have left us wide open in the midfield battle was difficult enough anyway. And I think you put Robinson in there, who's good, in the attacking areas, but it leaves Robertson and Wintle very exposed, especially because they had 3 at the back and 3 in the middle. So it would have been, I just expected it to be Joel. But look, I'm sure Joel will get his opportunity. It might be the next game with Kellyman out, depending on what he wants to go with away from home. I can't imagine we start 2 strikers away from home, but this manager knows what he's doing, mate. That's the one thing for me is I said it the other day. I believe in Brian Barry Murphy a lot and what he's doing and what he's thinking and trying to do. And I think against Bradford, I think you've got to go. You need a bit of pace at the back, so I think I'd probably go with Kepaki out, even though I think Perry NG's been really, really good. And I don't particularly want to drop him. I would probably go with Kepakio on the right for his pace. I would go with Lawler and Chambers, probably. And then Bagan at left back. And then I'd go Robertson, Wintle, Tanner. And I'd actually go Tanner and Isaac Davis on the wings and have some genuine pace on both sides. Both of them work hard as well defensively.
Do you think Isaac Davis, I think, probably works just as hard as Cian Ashford?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Cian Ashford looks a bit more comfortable with the ball and he can beat players a bit easier than Isaac Davis does. That's just a personal
Isaac,
opinion.
I think is more like knock it past the fullback and use his pace, and whereas Cian will go inside, go outside. He's a bit more deft with his touch and he's got a bit more guile. But I do think we'll need pace against Bradford. I wonder whether he might set up with 3 centre midfielders again, like he did obviously yesterday. Kellyman was a bit deeper when he was playing, but also when Turnbull comes on, we played with 3 in midfield. I wouldn't be shocked if we did that again. But I would probably have Joel Cole in there. Whether you put him in the 10, whether you put him in the 8, and then I'd get Robinson on earlier though. Like sometimes I think we leave it a bit too late to bring him on in the away games. I'd like to see him get
86th minute yesterday, I think.
I'd like to see him get 20 minutes at least, because he's one of them players who just got a habit of being in the right place at the right time. And it's difficult
Somebody put in the chat as well, obviously with Kellyman out. What were your thoughts on Willock going in at 10, Tanner on the left, Capaccio on the right wing? I can't see Capaccio going on the right wing yet. I'm not saying he couldn't do a job there for us, but I think I
don't hate the idea of Capaccio on the right wing against like a certain side or certain sides that where you need like it gives you a bit of pace going forward, but gives you a bit of extra protection. But I'm not sure that Bradford's the game for that, only because I think we will need some pace at the back. So, but it is what it is, isn't it? Like you've got to go with who's fit. But away from home, I would like to see us go with Tanner and Davis and on the wings from the start and try and get because Bradford will commit players forward. So if you can get a ball to Davis and to Tanner quickly on the break, they're so quick. It's harder for teams to get back in position. Whereas if you drop it in, and you knock it about and you let them get back in position, it's a little bit, it's easier for them and then to defend. Yeah, I thought Salech was really good. I still would love to see Isaac play off Salech. I feel like there's potential there as a pairing. But realistically, no one plays 4-4-2 today unless you're chasing a game. And if we're chasing a game, then it's going to be Robinson who comes on and plays through the middle. But I'd like the idea of Isaac's pace and pressing with Salech's link-up play and physicality. Everything stuck to Salech yesterday. I thought
he was outstanding. The strength and composure he showed to score his goal. I thought he was outstanding. I did say last night, I thought as soon as he took you around the keeper, because the defenders were kind of tracking back, I thought he's going to clear it off the line. But he hit it, and obviously he hit it high, didn't he? So there was no chance of the player stopping it anyway. But great finish from him. And he's a top goal scorer for a reason, but it's his job.
Yeah. 100%, mate. But what I've liked about him all probably from about 5 games into the season is he gets battered, right? And he gets no free kicks given. He never loses his head. At the start of the season, he looked really frustrated with it. But it's almost like someone's just got in his ear and just said, look, the ref's not going to change his mind, blah, blah, blah. Just get on with it. And he's so calm. And then what I like is when there's breaks in play or a half-time, whatever, he'll go to the ref and he'll ask questions. He'll be sort of saying whatever he's saying. I would assume he's saying, or why didn't I get a free kick there? And then the ref will say, oh, it was 50-50 or blah, blah, blah. So he's always trying to get an insight so that next time he can try and get a free kick or he can try and get away from the player. And I think it's clever. And I just thought everything stuck to him. And it was what we did really well yesterday, actually, was when Perry NG had the ball, on the sort of right-hand side of our half, everyone's expecting him to either go up the line or go back. And he would whip a ball into Salech's feet really quickly, like a sort of disguised, like reverse pass, whip it into his feet. Salech would hold it, lay it off then to the midfielders, and then we'd switch it over to the left. And I was like, God, if we could do that at home, we'd really give teams trouble, because it happens so quickly. You whip it into him, he lays it off, out to the left, and away you go, sort of thing. But I know people are being critical of his finishing, Salech's, but I thought yesterday he was excellent. I thought like you said, the finish is so good because they've got 3 players getting back on the line, plus the keeper's trying to stop, dive on it, and he just gets the right sort of lift and that. And even I saw some people giving him shit about the second one in the second half, saying he should have just gone through and hit it with his left foot. But the defender was back. Like the defender slid. And if he hits it, the defender just hits the defender anyway.
And he's kind of running away from goal as well when the ball kind of...
Yeah, if it's on his right foot, mate, he hits that, no doubt. But I thought he was quite clever because he feinted the shot, cut back, defender commits himself, and then he's got the pass perfectly weighted. The only problem was it just was on the deck. If Robertson lifts it just a little bit, it's in. But Yeah, I wonder what you thought of this, mate. JT just said if you have to strengthen the team, well, I'm sorry, wrong one. This one I was on, but we should be bringing in players that will get us over the line and be able to compete in a championship. It comes across as handicapping BBM if we do nothing in the market. What do you think of that?
It's a difficult one, really, and it's, you know, unless we're going to go out spending money now, I think we'll struggle to probably get a player that's going to be championship ready already for next season. Then perhaps. I don't know. No doubt there's hidden gems out there. I don't look into it as much as some people. I know obviously you do your research and stuff, and there's probably you've got a notebook there, I expect, with a load of potentials. But I just think we'll probably rely on the loans, and we won't commit to buying anybody until we know we're back in the championship next year.
Yeah, I think. Look, I understand the thinking of don't rock the boat, don't, because you never know. Like someone made a comment in one of the videos about when we brought in Bobby Reid, who on paper is a quality footballer, but apparently he caused all sorts of drama in the changing room. And I guess when you've got such a close group now, I can understand the thinking of don't bring. The risk of bringing someone in who could destroy that. But equally, I'm of the opinion of now is if we bring a left back in to compete with Joe Bagan, if we then were able to bring in a player like a really decent player who everyone is aware of, like championship player on a permanent deal or a loan, but permanent deal, and kind of be like a bit of a, everyone will be like, wow, they're top of the league and they've just brought in whoever. I feel like you can get a psychological edge as well. And just, I know people will say, like, the owner, in fairness to him, especially in January, when we've needed some money, he does tend to find it. Like, obviously, we signed Turnbull for a couple of million, we signed Salech and stuff like that. And I get it. But, like, I just think it's risky to rest on your laurels a little bit. But I also understand the thinking that we've got every position covered apart from left back. Like, if you go through the squad, we have got at least two first teamers in every position. But could you have better? Are you missing a missing ingredient? Like, I'm going to say his name, so take a drink. But, like, obviously we had chat with we had a talks with Darko Gyabi in the summer, and it didn't materialize. I think he is the sort of profile of player that we are missing. Someone who's very, very physical, big, 6 foot, whatever he is, very technically good as well. Like, and I think you put him in the middle of midfield to give Wintle a break, and he gives us a different dynamic. He gives us a physicality that we haven't got, and a ball, just a different type of player. And I think if you can bring in a player who fits the mold of what Brian Barry Murphy wants to do, both from an age point of view, a quality point of view, and he gives you something different to what you've got now. So what do we lack? We lack physicality. We lack a left back. And I think we also lack a bit of I do think we lack a bit of genuine raw pace at times. Obviously Tanner and Davis give you a bit of that, but I do think we miss a little bit of that.
I quite like our player from Leyton Orient yesterday, mind that Ballard. I think he's a
quality
great player.
He that goal he scored against us, obviously where I sit, I was right behind him in the first game, and it's just beautiful the way he set it out. But like, I thought the other Lloyd done quite well as well with him. They were really quite intelligent with their pressing. That Lloyd was a bit more raw, like you could see he was trying outrageous stuff at times, but Ballard is a good player. He's good with the ball at his feet. He can hold the ball up. He can run with it. He can link up, and he scores goals. I would love, whatever his contract is, I would keep an eye on that. He's the sort of player who I think would flourish in the way we play. And obviously with Callum Robinson getting towards the sort of latter ages of his career and stuff, maybe you could look to bring him in a season or two, or if we get promoted, maybe he's a player who could make the jump to a championship. So you gotta look for that type of player as well, haven't you? Like in the summer, if we do get promoted, you've got to find players like who have we played against this year where you think, oh, that he could do a job actually. Like he's 22 or whatever, and he was impressive. He could make the step up because they're the players you can pick up on the cheap. I understand both kind of sides of thinking. I would just like us. I would love to see Cardiff be really proactive in the January window and go, do you know what? Yes, we're top of the league. Yes, we've got a very balanced squad, but let's go and get X, go get Y, and just make sure sort of thing, you know? But we haven't got no money. We is what it is. Like if you watch the video I did with football finance expert earlier, we're losing 300 grand a week as per our accounts, which is actually not that bad, which is mental in itself. But compared to other clubs, it's actually not that bad, and we've cut the cloth accordingly better over the last 12 to 18 months. But it's still a lot of money in it to be losing.
It is. Before, obviously, I'm not sure what time you finish on planning on wrapping up, but what was your opinion on the guy who tried to rip Ollie Tanner's shirt off?
Oh, mate. It's embarrassing, isn't it? Like, and he's the captain, by the way, as well. And just the way, like, I haven't got a problem.
He got named man of the match as well, I think.
Oh, it's embarrassing, mate. I haven't got a problem with the tussling, the physical side of it. I've got no problem with that because they both want to win. They're both having a bit of a tussle. It's one-on-one, you know, right fullback or wing-back versus the winger. All good with that. And then when he put his face to Tanner's face and then falls down and then he's on the floor, smacking the floor like he's got like, oh, my nose is all splattered all over my face. It's embarrassing, mate. And the referee and the linesman's right by there. I would like to see, not just him, just generally players who do that, I would like to just see him get a straight red. Because I really, really have a dislike for it. Like, because it's nothing more than just trying to get a colleague or whatever set off. Like, nothing more. Yeah. And it's embarrassing. And if one of our players done it, I would be equally embarrassed. I would say it's embarrassing afterwards. But I would obviously love it during the game. But it's just embarrassing, isn't it? Poor, like Tanner's got to be cleverer than that, though, as well.
Yeah,
Tanner fell for it, didn't he? Hook, line, and sinker. Like he had the argy-bargy. He got frustrated, didn't he? Because he had pulled him down when he was sort of away from him. But he's got to know better. Don't put your head or your face anywhere near him because you know that's what they're going to do. But luckily, the referee saw through it. But I think he booked both of them, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
It is embarrassing, though, isn't it? Falling around and smashing the floor like that, like it's serious, and it's just like fuck off. It is. I just find it so irritating. It's one of the things which sets me off. Like, but yeah, Ballard's. I was going to say he's on a long contract, didn't he? He is a good player. I didn't realize he was that young, man. I thought he was a little bit older than that. Yeah, that Cozier Dewberry was good, wasn't he? And Tolage obviously was. Although the first time we played Tolage, I thought he was good. The second time we played him, I didn't think he was as effective. Poynton, yeah, another one is quite good. There's been a few players, haven't there?
He was still at Port Vale, wasn't he, when we played Port Vale second game?
Yeah, so we played him in Port Vale, and he was good, wasn't he, in that game? And then when he played for us, it was Plymouth he went, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When we played him, obviously we won that game pretty comfortably. Although that was a weird game in itself. Like, I think when all our goals deflected or something like that, 3 of them deflected. But yeah, Paul just said there that Archibald was trying all sorts. He was trying to wind NG up, and I get it, mate. Like, there's always players who are going to do that, and I generally don't have a lot of problem with like the shithousery side of it. I think I have that. It's just that thing of like holding your face to face and then going down like you've been headbutted. I just find that a bit embarrassing. Like, I don't mind the wind ups and all that. Like, that's part and parcel of elite sport ultimately. You know, NG does that a lot, but like NG last year got a bit when his form wasn't good. He was getting a bit caught up in the trying to wind people up and then not doing his job defensively. He was almost getting distracted by it. Whereas this year, I think NG's been really, really good this year. Like back to his best.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and there's another one who's shown his professionalism for me, really, because it's similar to Chambers, where perhaps he wasn't having a run in the team, and again he could have, thrown his toys out the pram, but he hasn't. BBM have come in and he's kind of knuckled down again, and we're starting to see the rewards of that again. Now I don't think he's quite there where he had probably been, the 2 years he had Player of the Year for us, but he's getting back there for me. And there was tackles yesterday, he was sliding into, and you can't say he's not committed to the cause now. Where there was going back to periods last season, I think they were, eyebrows raised at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's funny, some of the boys in there talking about the TV angles yesterday were fucking shocking, mate. Like, the amount of times they were showing a replay when there was something happening in the game, it was like terrible. But I think it's the EFL feed, and I don't know this for sure, but I wonder if it's like AI producer sort of thing, where it just shows like replays of shots and whatever automatically, because it was just like, it happened so many times where it was showing a replay of like a shot, and then there was like an attack going on and you're just waiting, and it was just, it was terrible. But the thing for me is the squad, they do seem happy and they seem really together. NG has spoken about how happy he is under this manager. And the other thing, you said about NG and Chambers and the way they reacted to not playing. I think that's a good example for Joel Colwell now, because obviously Joel, at the start of the season was living a dream, innit? His first full season for the club he supports, starting every week, playing well, playing with his brother. Like, he's living the dream. And then all of a sudden now he's not getting any minutes at times. So having seen the way that those senior players behaved, got their heads down, reacted, supported the team, got to be ready when you do get your opportunity, I think that's commendable. And I think that's a good example for them, for him and for other, and Capaccio. Capaccio was starting week in, week out as well.
It could be worse. He could have still been on loan at Exeter and had to go to Man City yesterday.
Painful that was for them, wasn't it?
Did you see Mafiko as well? Had played of the match for his first game for Yeovil Town.
Good for him, mate. Good for him. Your player he is. And I just hope, I really hope, I'll have to find out, actually. I'll ask the question. I would like to think that they've got him on a bit of a gym and bit of a bulk up diet, because he's got everything in terms of his technical ability and his reading of the game for someone who's that young, and not just young, but is that inexperienced in first team football. Like, I think his reading of the game is really, really good when he plays in, like sort of number 6 role, but he is small, and it's not the be all and end all, because we've seen players historically be small and still go on and be some of the best players in the world. Not saying that he will be that. I'm just saying that you've seen small, slight players play at the high level, but I just think he could do a bulking up. He probably hasn't even finished growing, mate, in fairness. Like, he's a young guy, but the best thing for him is playing football week in, week out. It's not doing him any good just sitting in the stand watching us play. Very rarely was he on the bench because we're out of all the cups. So it makes sense, doesn't it? And I think it's a good move for him. It'll be really physical, which is a big thing for these players. They need to not just play, but they need to be battered about
experience in that men's football, really.
100%, mate. And I think was it Louis Giles and Spears going to Eastleigh? I thought that was a pretty intelligent move for them as well, because they will get some grief down there, and they will get proper knocked about. And I think both of them probably need that in different ways. And hopefully they can come back and be ready to challenge first team football. It doesn't feel like... So, like last year, it felt like we did have, I know we did, but we had a plan with Joel Colwell. It was like, he's outgrown 21s. He's going on loan to League Two. And then we're going to reassess it in January, and he'll either stay there or we'll bring him back and he'll go League One. And obviously he went to League One. And then the plan was always for him to integrate into the first team this summer. And I would like to see us have a similar plan for some of these other boys, whether it's Mafiko, whether it's, I don't know, Troy Perrott, whoever, like really map out a plan. Obviously, they've got to be successful on their loans and they've got to, do their part in terms of performance and stuff like that, which obviously Joel Corwell did. But I think that having that sort of real pathway to, if we want him to be ready for the first team, they need to go and play at this level and do it week in, week out. I think that's a really good idea. And I think there's a couple of boys in the 21s who probably need that now. Like they need men's football. I think Troy Perrott is one of them.
It's so difficult, though, isn't it? Because you look now, obviously we're hoping to get promoted back to the Championship, and that level step up again then for those young players is massive. But I suppose what we've got is time on our side with these youngsters, in the sense that if they come back and perhaps they're not quite ready, go out on loan again for another 6 months, 12 months perhaps, because obviously there's potential there, otherwise they wouldn't be with the club. And we've seen the likes of Mafiko and Spears and Louis Giles have had the odd appearance. So there's definitely something, just talking about those three players in particular.
And I think, like you say, mate, is if they come back in the summer and we've been promoted and they're not quite there, you can go and play in League Two or League One for a season or even half a season, and we'll go and play till January in League One or League Two, and then we'll have a look in January how you've performed, and then they might be like, let's get him back. We need a right back, or we need a left back, or we need a winger, or whatever. I think Naika Howard is one who needed to go out on loan and play football as well, and I do think it's the right time now to send some of them out. It's whether we get any in. I do think we'll get one or two in January. But you've got to remember, it's not just about our squad; it's about other teams. The teams around us are going to strengthen. Like Stevenage, for instance, very, very, very good defensively, but they haven't really got anything up front. I'd be shocked if they don't bring in a striker if they haven't already in January, and that might kick them on and be the difference from them finishing 5th or 6th, grinding out like 1-0s and stuff like that, to scoring some goals, and suddenly they're pushing for automatics. And I think that's something which Cardiff do need to be aware of, because I think what you've got to remember as well is, over Christmas, there was times where we looked a bit tired, and I thought the manager managed it well, but we did look tired at times. And I know we played a lot of football, but I'd rather have too much than too little, mate, is my point. Maybe it's greedy. And I'm sure, I know Brian Barry Murphy's got a long-term plan in terms of what type of profile of player he wants to bring in and when he wants to bring him in. But I also think Cardiff have to make sure they get promoted this year. And if bringing in a couple makes that a reality, then it's worth it, ultimately. Because it's not just about going straight back up. It's about the interest that other clubs have got in Dylan Lawler, other clubs have got in Ruben Corwell, whoever, all the players, Salech, Trot, if we don't get promoted, are we going to be able to get Trot next year? Probably not. Whereas if we get promoted, we have an obligation to buy him. So that in itself, is worth it. And I think if we get promoted to the Championship, I think there's a somewhat decent chance that we hang on to most of the young players. If we don't go up, I think there's somewhat chance that we lose at least a couple. And then you have got to start again. And then these players who we're saying maybe are not quite ready, they might suddenly be thrust into the first team because we've sold whoever for whatever. And the ownership doesn't want to spend a load of money. So
we've been there before over the years, haven't we?
Of course we have, mate. And I think League One players ultimately don't go for big money, do they? Like if you sold Dylan Lawler while you were in League One, you ain't getting the money you get for him if you're in Championship. It's just the way it is. I think, and I know Evan done a show the other day on how he thought we would be this team now, exactly as it is, with this manager, everything. How would we do in the Championship? And I'm kind of interested in what your thoughts are on it. Like, where you think, do you think we'd be relegation fodder? Do you think we'd be up top? Like, where do you think we would be as we are now?
Difficult, really, to say, but I think we'd probably get. I don't think as many teams in a Championship would sit 10 players behind the ball, like what we've seen perhaps a large period of teams do to us this season. So they'd probably be,
and that's what we struggle with, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think teams are not going to do that. So I think that would probably suit us. I'm going to stick my neck on the thing and say mid-table, I reckon.
I think so, mate. I think so, and I think the league would suit us a bit more because teams would try and come out and beat us more. I think just because of the nature of the Championship as well. And the one thing for me is, regardless of whether they're ready now or not, is I do think that all of these players, because of the age they're at, the ceiling for them and the opportunity for them to get better is massive. Obviously, you've got like the outliers like Dylan Lawler and maybe Ruben or people like this, Salech. But generally, I think, I think another one who I think is a bit of an outlier is Alex Robertson. I think he's far too good for League One. But they're all under 25. It's mad, mate. When you actually go through the squad and you think, would a team be interested? If we put this player up for sale, would a team be interested? Well, you start with Trott, right? If Trott was available, I'm sure there would be clubs wanting him on his performances this year. Kipakiao, was he 19, 20? Teams would definitely want him. He's already being linked with places. Dylan Lawler, obviously, 19. Will Fish, 21. Joe Bagan's only 23, and he's been probably the most consistent performer in the league. Alex Robertson's 24. Joel Colwell, Ruben Colwell, they're all under 25. And I think if you can get promoted this year, you've got such a good basis. Even if you do lose one or two, the basis is really good and young and technically good. But you've got to get the right players around them to then complement them and help them to move on and fulfill their potential. But then on the other hand,
go on.
I was just going to add, on the other hand, you have also got players like Ruben, who's young, 23 or 24, whatever he is, but he's played a lot of first-team football. And I think that's why BBM was kind of making him the face of it almost, wasn't he? And he was sort of building around him because he knows, if we can keep this group together for 2 or 3 years, you could, get promoted and then do well in the Championship. Have a look at the stats and how many teams in recent years have gone straight up League One and then got promoted back to back. It's quite mad, But go on.
I was going to say as well, one of the big things for me that would have to change if we do get promoted and we keep a similar squad is the chances that we create. We've got to be 100 times more clinical than what we've been this year.
Clinical,
because you're not going to get away with it in the Championship. And I think the way we play, we obviously give teams opportunities to attack us and have shots and things at goal. I think that's something as well we're going to have to look at, really, because I don't think you're going to allow Championship teams to. I think Leyton Orient had 16 opportunities on goal yesterday. And I know there's been other games.
That's the most for a while, mate. That is. Because you're spot on, especially earlier in the season, we were given.
I don't know if Simon's frozen or if I'm frozen. Let us know in the chat, guys. Was Simon frozen or am I frozen?
In terms of how open we were. But I agree with you. That's something in the Championship, you just get punished, wouldn't you? because you're talking like you think of some of the clubs that could be in the Championship next year, some real big boys like so. So looking at here's some like notable teams who got back-to-back promotions from League One to League Two, League One, and then the Championship. Brighton. Who else did it? Luton, Ipswich. Obviously, Wrexham did it up to the Championship. Remains to be seen if they'll do it. But it's not unusual, not even if it's not back-to-back promotions where they get promoted to the Premier League. We do see a lot of League One sides get promoted and then hold their own in the Championship. And I think because we've got a young squad, you can kind of build on that, can't you? Like you can build around what you've already got. I guess my worry is that, teams are going to come in. My worry is also that will teams come in for the manager? Like I know Celtic are going to want to have a chat with him in the summer, but like, will other teams want to take him? Will, I don't know, whoever, like a top end Championship club want to take a risk on him because he's built a great reputation already. He's already got a reputation as a top coach, and then he's obviously done a very good so far with Cardiff. So Cardiff as a club have to match the manager's long-term ambitions. And I would assume he wants to be a Premier League manager. That means Cardiff have got to match that. But we shall see, mate. It's going to be interesting. First and foremost, we've got to make sure we get promoted from League One. I think there's going to be moments where it's going to be squeaky bum time and it's going to be difficult. And people are going to lose their minds on social media. I'd almost guarantee like that's going to happen 10 million times between now and the end of the season. But
it didn't happen yet. It didn't happen yesterday, did it? When that announcement came out, mind.
Mate. I have a little bit more information about that, which I can't really talk about at the moment. But I might talk about it on Tuesday.
Fair play, though. Straight on to your contacts with that interview with that chap as well to explain things a little bit more. You weren't holding back on that, but fair play to you.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I might be able to get him back on a bit later in the year where we're going to take a real deep dive into Cardiff's finances and like try and explain the whole situation. Obviously, you've got the debt to Tan and the debt to other places, and obviously you've got the Salech thing as well. So I'd like to take a real deep dive because he's very, very good at what he does. Like, he's a mainstream broadcaster, and he's widely regarded around the world as the kind of go-to on football finance. So I was very, very happy to get him on. Only 20 minutes or so, but did what it said on the tin. And my own contacts and the people I've spoken to from the club, they said, like, it's nothing to worry about. There's a reason it happened. And part of that is because of the difference in dates from League One to the Championship. But that's not the only reason. There was a separate issue, but it's fine. It'll be done. And like, if we needed to sign someone this week, we'd be able to. Is effectively what I was told. Not that we will sign anyone, mind, but just that we could. We could if we wanted to. But yeah, from the optics of it are not great today. That we're under another transfer embargo, but we've had so many over the last few years. Does it make that much? Is it a difference, really?
No, that's kind of it's gone straight over for me. I'm kind of not even
at
worried
this point.
about
If we're not under an embargo, then I'm not really sure what we're doing. It's just like used to it. But no, it was good. I really appreciate Kieran's time, actually, mate. And people, if they haven't watched that yet, go check it out. It was earlier on the channel. Also dropped 5 things earlier as well from yesterday's game. Tomorrow night, Cardiff City phone in. Not sure what's going to be out tomorrow lunchtime yet. So any suggestions, drop them in the comments. I know a few people asked about the player ratings videos coming back on a Monday. I just find it difficult to do all the graphics and that at the radio station. And if I do the player ratings video, I'd rather it look a certain way. And I haven't really got the time and opportunity to do it on a Monday. But we never know. Maybe we will bring it back. But if anyone's got any suggestions for content tomorrow morning, then let me know. And I might do a video on Ollie Tanner actually in his return because I think he's been very good. So we'll have a think. But Matthew, thank you for jumping on, mate. I appreciate you.
No problem at all.
just helped me out a little bit. I'm going to bed now. Absolutely shattered. Yeah, Matt will be back later in the week at some point. I got to work out the schedule tomorrow. I'm back on Thursday with Jamie. Looks like that's going to be a regular thing, which is quite cool because I've been trying to get Jamie to be a regular thing for a while because he's a good lad.
He's too busy booking his travel arrangements to go halfway around the country following Cardiff.
I know. Home and away, mate. Home and away.
Living the dream.
Do it. No, I can't fault him, mate. I'd love to do it.
100%. And it's not only just the Cardiff games. He goes and watches his local football.
He goes like Welsh, Welsh League and all that. Do you know what, mate? Right? I was saying this to someone yesterday. Do you know the one frustrating thing? Well, one of the frustrating things about League One is because we keep selling out all the away ends. It's fucking impossible to get away tickets because they're either sold out already or they're like you don't meet the criteria of doing X amount of away days or whatever. But hopefully we'll be able to do a couple before the end of the season, mate. Have you got any plans? You haven't got any planned at the moment, have you?
Well, for away games
with Josh, yeah.
No, obviously with my boy playing, Josh plays football now on a Saturday, and it was hard work. What's that?
It's hard work when they play on a Saturday.
Yeah, and he said he'd rather play football, so I think that's great, and I get just as much enjoyment, probably more really, watching him play on a Saturday than I probably do down the city.
It's less stressful
because of Joshua's, so we say, complex issues. Then I'd always tend to drive to away games anyway because of his anxiety and stuff. If I need to get up and go, I can. And some of the traveling the away fans are doing this year on buses and trains and things are taking
the long trips, isn't they?
Yeah,
there's no short trip. Yeah, there's no local derbies this year. Jesus Christ!
No, extra. Reading is probably.
We'll try and do one.
Reading is probably one I wouldn't mind doing.
Got an eye on, is it?
Oh, you got contacts in Reading as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Mr. Jacobson, innit?
Might know a man. Yeah, I know a couple of people up there actually. But yeah, I might. Reading. Let's do a channel road trip to Reading. That's a good idea.
Do it.
Good bones. Right, nice one. Thank you, everyone. Keep the faith. Don't be so negative. Everyone's so stressed all the time. Relax.
Only 21 games to go.
Enjoy it. I know, innit? Oh, mate, can you imagine what it's going to be like when there's 3 games left and we're level on points with Lincoln? People will lose their minds, mate, and I'll be grayer than ever.
It's probably more than 21 games to go, is it? How many games we played now?
I don't think there's that many. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, this league is fucking massive, isn't it? It's 20. What is it? So there's 24 teams, and we've played 25. So what's that?
Yeah,
it's 46, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, 20.
Pretty much halfway. 20. They'll go quick, mate. They will. God, they'll be they'll go. Especially when we go back to 2 a week in a few weeks now. It'll be before you know it, there'll be 10 games left. Proper squeaky bum time then. So when is it? Yeah, so end of January, we go back to playing Saturday, Tuesday.
Just wanted to, before we finish, got to go out on loan again somewhere, 100%.
What's that? I missed that then. I wasn't looking at the screen because I was looking at the fixtures.
Reindorf. Somebody asked, what would you do with Reindorf? Got to go back out and play football.
Got to go back on loan, mate. The problem is, right, and just what I was saying about it doesn't matter how much of a plan you got for the young players. If they don't play, or they do play and don't perform to the level at the level they're playing, it's very difficult. Now, from what I understand, he started off well at Newport and they were quite impressed. And then he didn't play a lot of football after that. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just finding him the right club, the right level. What you need from him is just to play week in, week out. And then see what he can do, see if he can score. But this is why I was saying last year when everyone was saying let's play him. He was never ready for that. But I think what people saw was his pressing and thought, just chuck him in, which I get. We had nothing really, did we, up front last year? So it was, may as well chuck him in. Right. Nice one. Thank you to everyone tuned in. and we'll see you tomorrow. But I'm sorry, thinking about owning your own home, not sure where to start? Well, at Home.Limited, they help people turn the idea of home ownership into a real achievable plan. If you're wondering how much you can borrow, what deposit you'll need, or whether being self-employed or having past credit issues might hold you back, well, then you're not alone. And that's exactly why they're there. At Home.Limited, they specialize in tailored mortgage solutions, affordable routes to home ownership that aren't always obvious at first glance. They provide independent, unbiased advice, access to a wide range of support and lenders, and a dedicated case manager who works for you from start to finish. They take the time to understand your circumstances. They explain your options clearly. They remove the jargon so you know exactly where you stand. And from the first conversation through the application process, right up to getting the keys in your hand, they'll be there every step of the way with you. They'll also keep an eye on the interest rates. So while your application is live, making sure you're always in the strongest possible position. So if you're ready to move on from renting, planning your next step, or simply want to know what's possible, get in touch today. Visit the website, speak to the team at Home.Limited, and let's turn your home ownership dream into a reality.